Welcome to Investors Insights, where this week's topic is missing the point. We had a lot of good discussion this morning, and I think what came out of it is most of our discussion wasn't about what the market is focusing on. The market seems to be missing the point on some of the big news items of last week. We saw the market shoot up on Friday because of positive news on the China trade front, where there's an announcement of a preliminary agreement for future agreements, which seems very positive, but then over the weekend it came out that China is backing off that agreement, so the market's back down. So that really seems to be the only thing the market is focusing on. It's up one day, down another, going to be whipsawed around based on just news but no action. But actually, you brought up some really good points that actually impact the market and the economy in the Fed last week.
Oh, absolutely. We mentioned on the vlog last week that Thursday was a big day to watch at the Fed because there was a vote to lessen restrictions on large banks. With one dissent, that did pass. So what you'll see down the road here is that will make credit cheaper, both for corporations and individuals, because simply put, with less regulations, you're going to have more competition in there for the good consumer and the good commercial borrower. And that's only going to help make credit cheaper and flow cash when you get right down to it. So that was, as Trey would say, that's a big kind of off the headlines, but that's going to make a lot of difference over the next year or two. Coming up this week with the Fed, what we'll be watching quite a bit is that what they call the Beige Book comes out Wednesday, which is a broad look at every Fed region in the country and how the underlying companies in those regions are doing. So that's a lot of good data. And then finally, following up on that, the Philadelphia Fed releases their manufacturing index Friday. And that's important just because where they track it is the industrial Northeast is so heavy industrial. So it's a lot of variety up there, a lot of big companies that supply others up there. So we'll be watching both.
Yeah, in addition, the Fed announced that they are going to be expanding their balance sheet, which used to be headline news because that has such a large impact on interest rates. And Adam, you had a good point this morning about how lower interest rates are helping the U.S. consumer.
Yeah, let's talk about the housing market. We all know that sentiment was down in August. So let's look on the other side of the coin. Refinance demand is rising, so rate-sensitive refinance applications. I know that's a lot of words, but it was up 10% last week, week over week. That's a big rise in 1 week. From last year at this point, that's up 163%. Now, why is this important? Well, we have unemployment rate at an all-time low since 50 years. We talked about the Joe Namath stat last week. Income's rising, so savings is coming up. So in areas like retail sales where we're kind of struggling, with the holidays coming up, we might see some of that savings being put back into retail sales and being put back into the markets. So with refinancing demand rising, I think it's really important to look at these savings and seeing where these savings are going and seeing how this consumer and the sentiment is going to start to flip.
Right. I mean, you don't refinance your mortgage if you're not going to save money. And that's a monthly savings. Every month you have a reduced expense, and that can go directly to the bottom line of the consumer and then to retail sales right before a very important holiday season.
Yeah, exactly.
And also 10% week over week, that's a big number. When you look at it out of the backside of the financial crisis, that's a major leg of the U.S. economic stool.
We hope you enjoyed these topics. If you have any questions, please give us a call. We appreciate you sharing this with your friends and family. We also appreciate all the feedback we hear. So don't forget to watch us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and we hope you have a great week.